Myron Gaines on the line. Myron.
Yo, what up, bro? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I might have to turn you down. How's the levels here? Are we good? Speak.
Yeah, do I sound crazy? Because I'm using a different mic for Discord, so just let me know.
You sound loud, my brother. Hold on,
Okay, I could turn it down.
Yeah, let me see.
Let me know if that's better. Is that too loud?
Yeah,
I can bring that down
good.
too.
That's good. Right there, it's good.
That's good right there? All right, cool.
So
what's up, bro?
You
caught me right when I was about to leave to walk my dog, so good timing, man.
Oh, nice, man, nice. What's the name of your dog? Is it Frank?
Yeah, the Border Collie.
Oh, dope. Hey, I'm glad to have you on. I'm gonna tell you why I'm glad to have you on. Tonight's a little unorthodox stream because we're kind of really delving into like this whole phase stuff, and the important reason why I felt the need to talk about this is really centered around business. And I think most people are looking at this and they're like, yo, this is just like drama. And I'm looking at this as just straight business because people don't realize there's so much corporatization of what streaming is, and that fans forget that the streamer you like is probably, I won't say controlled necessarily, but they have a lot of corporate interests. And if you ever remove that from the conversation, you'll never really get to understand what the hell is going on. So I'll tell you where we are, and I want you to chime in.
I was listening to everything you were saying.
Okay, so yeah,
I've been tapped in for like the last 30, 40 minutes.
Okay, dope, thank you. And so we're starting Banks' second response, but I do want to hear what you think. You're someone, you do a show called Money Mondays, right?
Yep.
And you're really big in, and we've talked personally and offline about like just how you're really astute in terms of business ventures. That's why when, obviously some unfortunate things happen, like they try to demonetize you, whatever, you guys have been able to survive because you guys have your ducks in order, but you also have other sources of revenue, and you've taken the money you've gotten and done great things with. When you hear about this type of stuff, what do you think about on face value from the creators, and then what do you think about business-wise?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a really good question. And from me listening to you, you said that you've been analyzing this from the business side. Dude, I would add to that to give your argument even more credence. It's not just about business. Streamers are in a position now, we're literally influencing elections. Don't forget, bro, that streamers were a critical component to Trump's victory in 2024. And that victory by Trump cemented that legacy celebrities, whether it's movie stars, musicians, etc., they're famous, but they don't have influence. And it's very important to distinguish the two, because just because you're famous doesn't necessarily mean you have influence. Kamala Harris got some of the biggest people in the world. Beyonce, Meg Thee Stallion, obviously Obama, all the rappers. She got Taylor Swift. She got A-list celebrities from different types of markets, whether it's music, athletes, etc. But on the other hand, Trump, who's not liked by entertainers in general because entertainers tend to be more left-wing and progressive, he leaned more on political commentators, streamers, etc., and he absolutely demolished Kamala. Now, with that said, does that mean that had it not been for the streamers that Trump wouldn't have won? No, he probably could have won, but not by the margin that he had. Another example of this is, to this day, dude, they still blame Joe Rogan for platforming Trump. The progressives, to this day, still blame Rogan for that. So if that doesn't prove that podcasters, influencers, streamers in general have an enormous amount of real influence, nothing else will prove that. Now, going back to what you said about the business stuff, this whole phase thing, and I'm glad that this is kind of happening. So, go ahead.
I do want to jump in before you leave that last
go ahead.
point. It's a short interruption here, and you can just answer quickly. I think the new meta, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was just on the phone with I don't know if you ever heard of Van Lathan, and I thought he was calling me to because he's super pro black, because I said on stream, I said, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been listening to a lot more political commentators than I've ever had before, whether it's Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes. And it's not necessarily like, for me, I need my opinion, sway one way or the other, but this is a way of, I'm realizing like politics now is more entertaining than anything else, if you ask me. And I think political commentators are the new, they're streamers on steroids, but they have the influence to actually move shit around, and that's crazy. What do you think about that?
No, it's bro, literally what we just witnessed was the torch being passed where, and you said politics is more entertaining now. A big part of that is Trump as well. He always tends to stay in the headlines, and he's very offensive to people and shit like that. And that actually is what got him elected back in 2016. But going back to the Faze thing with the business, right? I just wanted to add that political component there so your audience kind of understands. It's not just like an influence thing and a business thing. It's also a political thing. But to go back to the business thing, I'm really glad that people are seeing this because everyone thinks that being a streamer is like, oh, it's just me having fun, talking shit in front of a camera. What people don't realize is once you get to a certain level and you're doing the things that these guys are doing, now there's contracts involved. Now you got to watch what you say. Now you can't talk about certain things. Everyone in here, if you guys notice, if you go back and look at any Faze stream or anything, they always stayed away from divisive topics. They never talked about Israel-Gaza. They never talked about the election. They stayed away from what I would call divisive topics that would automatically make your audience cut in half, right? So this is why another example of streamers are incredibly influential to the point where they're damaging if not controlled, if that makes sense. Like these businesses have an interest in like, okay, you're very powerful, you have an enormous amount of influence, but we need to kind of take you, like think of it as like a bull, a very successful streamer. The advertisers and the business side, they're trying to steer the horns towards being as profitable as possible by any means necessary. And that's what's kind of happened with a lot of these things. AMP, Faze, all these big dudes, these guys, they make it look like they're just having fun or whatever. But dude, there's a whole marketing team behind it. People are buying subs. They have everything planned. They have everything staged. Because at this point, streamers are replacing TV, right? 20 years ago, because me and you are old enough to remember this, like you had to wait a week to watch the next episode of something. Now everything's on demand, bro. And streamers are competing with mainstream media, the movies, everything for entertainment value. And that's why, these advertisers really come in and said, yo, we need to get a piece of this now.
Hey, by the way, I have a warning for all these streamers, and I'm pretty sure tomorrow. So tomorrow, the Faze guys are going to do all their responses at 2:00 supposedly. I don't know if it's going to be a joint one or not, but I do want to warn streamers. Remember, the run at the top could be short lived, and the warning here from me is this: there is you guys, no matter this through this exposing shit, y'all could irreparably damage the viewer's perspective of streaming if you take the curtain down. If the curtain always has to remain up a bit where you don't see how the shit's being made. Because if it's really broken down to science, I'm pretty sure this is how the Faze stuff went. And if fans knew this, it would make you think twice about clicking on another stream. Everybody's opinion is probably in line with the opinion of the person who is funded it, like most things are. Some of the views you saw, I'm pretty sure, listen, if a company gets a $2 million deal, this is how deals work, right? And I'm not explaining to you, I'm explaining to the audience. It's a $2 million deal. We provide our analytics. We have 15 members on Faze. They're going to do this. We want to get this deal to be $3 million, maybe on the re-up, or maybe there's an option in there. What we're going to do is we're going to buy some views. So yes, botting is happening. Botting, I've always thought botting's happening on the company. Like, it's like the record label.
Bro, it's the worst part about streaming, dude. I did a whole episode on this shit. Botting is literally like the backbone of this bullshit.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I'll talk about rap, and I'll be like, yeah, Kendrick bots. And they'll be like, yo, Kendrick is not buying. And I'm like, don't be simple and stupid. It's not Kendrick Lamar that's sitting here and buying a bot. It's the people he's in business with, right? That has some financial incentive. And every other artist, not just Kendrick, is going to be the record label who bots. And usually they bot without the artist knowing. I would imagine if we got a deal, $2 million, we guarantee these impressions, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we all know sponsored streams, notoriously boring. Nobody really wants to watch. Nobody want to watch just Doritos. You doing this hour segment about Doritos. But we need to hit those metrics for our deliverables. We need to try to get the numbers that we could get another deal that's more money. We're going to pump in some fake views. And that's what I'm saying about with them trying to now get into
Bro, they donate subs too. If you watch like Kai Cenat's thing, not to interrupt you, if you watch Kai Cenat's like Mafia Thons, his sponsors are the ones that are actually like giving these big donos on gifting subs.
Of course. And that's what I was saying. If they get into this mudslinging and someone said, yo, I'm not going to lie. Yo, you motherfuckers was buying bots for us and we were getting the blame and this and that, and they really get into some real mudslinging shit, the audience will almost be shocked and woken up that they would view these guys streaming different from here on. So I do think that they got to keep it on some, no, I was just a young kid, you took advantage. This is all business here. Like, that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, yo, I don't care who claims they're offended.
Yeah, no, it's 100% business, dude. And this is very important because you said that this could be very damaging and pernicious to people that might want to get in the streaming industry. Well, let's be honest, bro. Me and you are right around the same age. When we grew up, it was about, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a cop, I want to be a firefighter. Now, all these young people are basically like, I want to be a streamer. And I think that this is actually good so that people can understand that, even though streaming looks easy from the beginning, from the outside in, number one, it's not as easy as you think. Number two, to really be profitable in it, you got to have a machine behind you. And then number three, don't quit your day job, because I've noticed that like a lot of these young guys all want to be influencers and they're doing dumb shit to become influenced. And in the process, they're doing reckless stuff to get views and they might destroy their future. You know what I mean? Imagine you're like a 21-year-old streamer and you're over here doing like a bunch of shocking stuff to get views. And then it doesn't work out. You go to college, you get a degree, try to enter the corporate world, and now they're using a stream from 10 years ago against you and you're getting cooked.
Hey,
right?
The equivalent of streamers kind of, putting on the facade like, hey, when problems like this exist, it is not about business and it's just like some authentic, like, oh, I don't, these guys didn't care about my feelings. I felt alone. Oh, I thought he was my friend. It's the equivalent to a rapper finessing the fans with the facade of, I'm independent, but I'm signed to a label, right? Like, you need to, the facade is what sells, right? Like, the reality doesn't sell, right? Like, what I mean? And this is why I'm here to just try to break down the facade, because, I get these guys are young, but they're all surrounded by 10 people. They're surrounded by 10 people, business people. They all got agents. No one's fleecing you here, right? Now, I do think that Banks is kind of dumb in the fact of, you don't get someone to join your organization and not from the outright, even if you put a delayed thing on it. They do this in 360 deals in music. We're never, unless you bring in $1 million in revenue, we're never going to take a percentage. So, like, we're never going to touch it until you bring in more than that, right? So, obviously, if these guys were not getting taxed by the organization that was investing in them for a year and a half, they're thinking, no, this shit is sweet. It's the biggest lick ever. If you guys invest $5 million in me, I become 5 times bigger, and you don't get no money in your return, or you've never taken it while you invested $5 million over 2 years. Now you want some money. I'm 5 times bigger. I might be like, yo, well, you didn't take it at first.
Yeah, no, and let me add a little bit more to that. So and I'll kind of go through this. I know you already know this, Act, but I'll tell it real quick to your audience. So this is how it goes, right? They start building audience, right? And what they'll do is they'll start like botting views. As they bot views, it makes it look like they're lit. You look at these rappers, you look at these people, they're like, oh, this dude is popping, this dude is popping. They come and do a collab. What the rapper doesn't know is that like 40% of his views were botted. However, that rapper actually did bring in legitimate fans that want to see them, in a streaming environment, kind of out their music element. So that streamer goes ahead and picks up a couple thousand new subscribers, new followers, right? They just keep doing that over and over. And the next thing you know, an audience that was 50% botted is now down to like 20 to 30% botted. And what happens is, as you do more collabs off of this, inflated number, you're able to grow your audience, and then a smaller percentage becomes bots. And then you buy more bots, you just scale up from there. And then the other thing that's very important, which is the most dangerous side of streaming, is these advertisers let it happen because to them, they look at it, if this dude bots and it looks like they're getting a lot of views, I just need to go to a company and be like, oh, yo, this guy gets this many views, blah, blah, blah. Let's make it happen. They have those vanity metrics. And then as long as that business is like, converting 1%, which isn't going to be hard when you actually have like a big ass audience. You might have 100,000 people watching, but realistically, only 10K is real. Even if you make 1% on that 10K, it's still enough for the advertiser to justify working with you. And that's how these guys lock in deals. It's literally the definition of fake it till you make it. And that's how a lot of these guys have been able to like really make a bunch of money. But at the same time, just like you said, Ak, it changed them because now that it's a business, now that they're earning a lot of money, now they got to be extra careful about what they talk about. If you look at like Twitch streamers, they're all bitch ass niggas. They all can never talk about anything divisive, but it's precisely because they invest the money into view bots. The advertisers are looking at their numbers. They're selling those numbers. They're getting deals. And those deals that they get are contingent upon these vanity numbers. So they can't fuck the money up. And that's why so many of these streamers are fake, just like you've been breaking down earlier with Faze.
Hey, by the way, I want to say this, and I said it, and it's been going, I think, viral a little bit, but people have been agreeing. The streamers finesse the rappers, and the rappers claim they're
Facts.
all finessers. The rappers,
Facts.
the rappers don't have botted social media audience, right? Like they're talking to their real fans. So they're saying, hey, but they're looking at, wait, Neon got 30,000 people? Okay, I'm going to Neon stream. Okay? Now here's the thing. Back in the day, they would have to pay the rappers, right? Now the rappers, they feel they're getting paid by the view count. Oh shit, free advertisement. 30,000. Oh, I'm coming there. Hey yo, all of y'all, meet me on Neon stream. Let's all go. Let's go over there. It could be 5,000 people on Neon stream. They done told their other 5,000, say the rapper's talking to 5,000 as well. You've doubled his audience, and you're over there like championing, like, yes, yes. Now the view count is ballooned to like 50,000. You think you're the guy. Neon is going to retain 10%. 20%.
Oh, even more than that, bro. Because
Yeah.
keep in mind, when these rappers come over to the streamers, these rappers don't stream a lot of the time. So what ends up happening is, since that person can't watch their artist in this, unique environment of them streaming and really get to know them, they'll feel that bond with the streamer because that streamer is the one that made it happen. So let's say you get like a Playboy Cardi, right? Like when Aiden had him on, right? Mm-hmm. There's tens of thousands of people that tune in to watch that shit. A lot of them are going to start messing with Aiden because Aiden is the one that brought their favorite rapper to get a conversation that they otherwise would have never heard. And they pray that they're able to make that collab happen again, which Aiden was able to do. So the streamers actually end up winning in that situation because when you take in hip-hop, when you like a hip-hop artist, you're only really taking in their music. You don't know their personality. You don't know their family. You don't really become relatable with them. Yep. This is precisely why Kamala Harris relying on A-list celebrities to push her campaign was such a bad idea. These people are famous, but they don't have influence. So the streamer actually lucks out more when that rapper comes on because that streamer made that rapper come on, and they're seeing that rapper that they love in a way that they would never otherwise see them unless it was for that streamer. So they build almost like a connection with that guy. I know this sounds kind of gay, but it's very important for people to understand human psychology and how that goes, because now you're the guy that got that fan to finally hear their rapper without a fucking beat and really get to know them. That's super powerful.
Yeah. Streamers finessed rappers for their audience and never the other way around. I always said this. I remember when rappers were so upset that they didn't get on Kai's stream. I said, listen, first of all, the little fans you have, you're probably going to introduce those to Kai, right? Like these days, they're going to react to what's going on in Kai Cenat's life more than even your music. But whatever, cool. But then when you bring your fans over, your fans are going to stay for Kai. Kai's fans aren't there to find music. They like what Kai likes. And that trade-off, I think this year and the year before, like labels would start to like they would pay like Aiden Ross. This is early on. They would pay Aiden Ross like 30,000-40,000. Like, yo, put this guy on your stream, right? Mm-hmm. This is the best thing ever. You're paying Aiden to grow. Aiden's audience isn't gonna be like, yo, I've been listening to you for 6 months since you went on Aiden's stream. Nope. We don't see that. It's you bring people over to Aiden Ross and now they know who Aiden Ross is. Right? Yep. And some of them stay, some of them go because he's making entertaining content. The rappers, we're all in the content game. The rappers put out the least content of everybody. So they're gonna go towards whoever makes the most content that the rapper introduced them to.
That's facts, bro. And it just comes down to, we live in this like content world where you got to put so much content out to like stay relevant. And unfortunately, with the music industry and stuff, these guys just can't keep up with their music and really keep that influence. Yeah, people like their music. Yeah, people like them. I'll give you an example, right? Let me give you a perfect example right now.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was a huge Eminem fan. Okay. I loved Eminem. I have every single one of his albums. To this day, the Eminem Show is one of my favorite albums. I think it's one of the best. Huge fan, right? Same with Jay. I came from that era. Renegade to this day is one of my favorite songs. However, once I got to know Eminem a little bit, when he stood up for Kamala, once he started, talking about fuck Donald Trump and everything, I was like, damn, this dude's like a wokey. Like, nah, this shit is kind of whack. So you don't really get to know these artists a lot of the times until you like listen to them talk in interviews or whatever. And this is why so many of them stay away. Like Eminem, I remember, didn't do an interview for like decades until I think he sat down with Mike Tyson. So it actually hurts rappers to show their personality sometimes. That's why so many of them don't like to do interviews or go on streams. But now in today's day and age, you have to do it because you have to be relatable and people have to trust you. But it used to be,
and also your life is
it was gatekeeping.
overexposed. Like put like this, some artists still do a good job of like staying away. Like again, NBA YoungBoy, right? Like he still stays away enough where like people are like, wow, I would love to see him on a stream, right? Same with Playboy Cardi, but some other guys like, let's say like Fabio Foreign, he's already on Instagram Live all the time. He's oversharing that he feels he needs a stream, right? Because he's oversharing. He's on Instagram just like shooting the shit, and he probably has 3,000 people watching him. So when someone says they have 30,000, he runs over there, but it's kind of diluting this mystique about him, right? Like it's like, okay, this guy's just, he's whatever.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, bro. Because let's be honest, you could speak to this way better than me. But in the limited interactions I've had with rappers, they're typically not educated. They're typically not well-spoken. They're typically always high under the influence. They're chronically late. They're not punctual whatsoever. Like these tend to be a lot of the times outside of their music talent, not interesting people. So they don't want to get on and do interviews and make themselves look horrible because it almost like lifts the veils from their genius music. Because
the reality
if you
is
could just enjoy the music, that's what they want. Sorry,
the reality is this, and I've always said it, the more you know a rapper, the lamer they become. Everything sounds good over some 808s. You start learning these guys, like you start looking at them like, yo, I thought this guy was kind of cool. Why did they say Meek Mill's career went down the hill? Because he tweeted too much. The more you know about him, you're like, yo, yeah, you're not the hold on, wait a minute guy. You're just the like stupid dumb nigga who tweets too much, right? Like, shit. I remember talking to Savage, 21 Savage. I was like, yo, get off a Clubhouse. Like, you're just on there joking around like you're on like a like this like voice call, but like people are like actively judging you and then also putting that against your music, right? Like you can't. The more you know about a rapper, rappers are good with selling image. That's what they sell: image, lifestyle. Image, lifestyle. Image, lifestyle. When you put too much of yourself out there, the fans start seeing incongruencies. Like, whoa, hold on. Wait, I thought you was a super tough guy. Oh, I thought you were this. Oh, I made like, and me and Savage was having this conversation before. I was like, yo, listen, because I was telling him that what Thug or somebody else was doing, it wasn't working for him, and he was just like, yo, what about me? So we started talking about him. I said, Savage, here's the thing about you. Your music allows fans to create the image of you. When you came over here like, yo, spin the block twice like they didn't know where to park, there's fans that have created this image of you like you're like this really menacing, like with all due respect, it probably hurts your image if they know like you're just playing 2K all day, just like talking to me and probably other rap friends. Like you're not, you know what I mean? But you need that imagery, right? It's the reason why you get some of these guys like come out and they'll put out the imagery of they're crazy or they're tough or whatever. Yeah, you kill their, yeah.
Yeah, like, that mystique that you're talking about is perfect for preserving an aura as a musician, but it's horrible for building relatability to your audience. And this is kind of the weird conundrum that music artists are in, especially rappers, where they kind of have to keep up this bravado image. Bro, honestly, this is why entertainment is going to go from a more creator to consumer direct without the middleman that used to be Hollywood, the music industry, etc. I predict in the next 10 to 15, 20 years, bro, everyone's going to pretty much be independent. Like this whole like mainstream media is not going to be a thing anymore. If it keeps going at this rate within the next 20 years, malls are going to be shut down. People are ordering all their stuff off Uber Eats. Like we're about to be in a real, true, stream instant delivery life very soon. It's coming, especially with AI.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hey, let me play a little bit more of
go
Banks.
for it.
This is Banks reacting to Max. Again, it's turned to a thing where he's kind of explained the whole thing. I'm looking at it business wise, but he's addressing Max, and Max basically put a lot of blame on him. Here we go.
And for everybody watching, I'm going to be sharing our conversations from the time I left Faze till now, including all the drama and all the issues, supposed issues that me and Max have had, because his cousin just went live and apparently I'm this fucking awful, terrible guy, monster who Max had all these issues with. But as you'll see, and when I share our conversation, that's not the energy that Max has given me over the last 5 months. As a matter of fact, and not to spoil anything, but I've talked to Max more in the last 5 months than every other Faze member combined. Max has asked me for opinions on everything from creative to content to his career. He's asked me personally for help managing his career from here on out. He's confided in me about his team sucking and things falling apart. And the big one, since Max wanted to go live and talk about standing on business and I was right and look who was right and I left Faze first and look at me, 100K viewers, high as fuck off the clout and the fucking engage, just proving everything that I said 100% right yesterday. This streamer brain shit is real. They are actors. And he jumped on this opportunity not because he cares about anything that I've done or cares about anything that I've said. It's because it makes the most sense. Kick me while I'm down and farm this Faze shit and suck as much as he can out of it. And that's what they fucking do. And that's just fact. Anybody that argues against that is fucking fried. This whole thing, like I said yesterday, fried.
Oh, can I comment on that real quick, bro?
Yeah.
I want to bring attention to this. So, for those that don't know, Faze is in his, Banks is in his 30s, right? Mm-hmm. All these people he's talking about are in their 20s. Mm-hmm. Me, you know, anyone that was born like in the 90s, 80s, etc., we're cut from a different cloth. One thing I've noticed about like a lot of these young guys is there's like, they made money quickly, they never had a real job, and they don't understand certain tangible traits that you need to have in place to not just be successful, but also like be a man, right? Integrity, not backstabbing people, not being extremely narcissistic, not letting clout or whatever it may be get to your head. But since we live in like this, instant gratification society where all these dudes are young and never had a real job, they don't really know how to deal with a lot of the things that come at them with streaming. I'll give you another example of this. No hate on Kai, but let's go ahead.
I know this is a thing. So when I went through my hailstorm earlier in the year, I knew a lot of these guys who were essentially, I guess, their comms, their communities forced them to speak on it. And I knew these guys personally. Some of them I knew way before they even had a streaming career. They know me, my character. Some of them I felt could even speak to be like, wait, I know Ak. And I'm not going to lie to you, with the exception of Aiden Ross, every single one of them repeated exactly what their audience had said, who probably maybe only know me from a few clips. They repeated what their audience said to a T. Why? They needed to appease the mob. The mob said, we need to say this about him. Let's say this. And for me, there was slightly a little bit hurt. It was a little bit hurtful seeing people that some of them I felt knew me speak like that. But then I realized this is the cutthroat, just Game of Thrones type of aspect of streaming. I'm telling you.
Absolutely. And here's, I love that. So I see this idiot in your Akademiks chat says, Swizzy Splash, whatever, CEO. He says, Myron loves to talk like he hasn't been punched in the mouth before, LMAO. Here's the thing. I have been punched in the mouth before, and that's why I have this humility, you stupid fuck. Like, people don't get it, that when you get bullied, when you have a real job, when you deal with people, when there's consequences for your actions, right? When you have to figure out how to make money when you're a nobody, when you have no status, none of it, no clout, nothing. You have to figure this stuff out, and you make mistakes, you get punched in the face. It's because I got punched in the face that I understand this stuff, and I wouldn't be doing this stuff, you fucking dumbass. And that's the problem, is that a lot of these young boys have no real perspective. All they saw was up. They never saw the down to actually appreciate the up. I hate to use them as an example, but I got to mention this here. And what I'm going to say here doesn't represent Akademiks' opinions, guys. Just solely my shit, Myron Gaines. When it comes to Kai Cenat, right, he went viral for talking about his mental health, right? Mm-hmm. But let's keep it 1,000. No one's trying to hear that from a 20-year-old multi-millionaire that's famous when there's kids in Gaza getting bombed and kids starving in Sudan. You know what I mean? Like, no one's trying to hear that from them. And this is something that I've kind of noticed with, the Gen Zers and these young guys in their 20s. Like, growing up, we didn't have ADD or ADHD, whatever. That was like a new thing. You just used to say niggas are retarded if they couldn't focus. If a dude needed to take Ritalin or Adderall, you just say, oh, this nigga retarded. What the fuck? Like, there was none of these stupid ass terms for, oh, I'm depressed. It's all a bunch of pushy shit. And this is the problem with a lot of these young boys. They don't even understand how good they have life, bro. They have no perspective. Never worked at McDonald's, never really struggled like that. Maybe for a year or two in their adolescence, but where's their struggle in their 20s? Where's dealing with adversity in that range? And that's why so many of these these young boys, this is where FaZe Banks' frustration probably comes from, is because he's dealing with these guys that are 10 years younger than him that don't know what it's like to not grow up with an iPhone. These dudes grew up on iPads, dude. These dudes weren't alive during 9/11. Some of these niggas were born after we invaded Iraq. Like, you know, and I have to kind of look back sometimes and look at when these dudes were born. 2005, 2004. Motherfuckers were making music when Linkin Park was on top. Like, what is going on? You know, like they have no real semblance of how the world works. And it's very dangerous. I think one of the worst things that can happen to a man, and I'll land on this, is becoming rich in your 20s. I literally think it's one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Yeah, no. So even with like the Kai situation, I do feel like, I mean, you're right to a certain extent, but I do feel like the tragedy of his time is that I think Kai got to a place where he says, my 20s is going to be remembered for sitting in front of a camera. And yes, I made $200, $300 million, but I never lived life. And I could tell, you know, he never had a serious girlfriend before. He never had meaningful relationships. Yep. And I think that fucked with him. And I think that fucked with him off stream. And he probably felt like he was just like a shill. Like he was just kind of like a shell, actually, of his own self. And at least he's realizing something, right? Now, in terms of what you're saying, how much sympathy should we have for someone who's really up or whatever? I have a little bit more, I care a little bit more for his struggle than probably you do, just because that's his, I can't get a job, I'm out here having to do whatever, because it's just a different generation, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, it's like what your parents used to say, even to us, like, yo, boy, you think you had it hard? This is how, like, my mom used to tell me, we didn't have running water at the house in Jamaica when I was growing up. I used to have to carry water from the river 2 miles down. You're having it easy. And I would be like, well, I'm not having it easy. And then I look at these kids and these younger folks, and I'm like, yo, you think you have it hard? I used to go through this. So, I guess that's the struggle of their time. And obviously, I won't say that's a general struggle of everybody, but since he's in the streamer community, I guess that's the thing, right? Like, yes, I've made
and I'm
millions of dollars,
I'm only bringing this up. I'm only bringing this up because,
motivation.
As you can see here, FaZe Banks, his main chief complaint is that Max isn't like adhering to his word and he's being kind of slimy. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of adding to that, like, yes, this is something that's very common with young streamers where there's really like no honor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Listen, if you, and I would advise anyone, if you are going to befriend, rely on a streamer in their early 20s, expect no loyalty, okay? Expect no
Facts.
loyalty. You know what I mean? So if they're loyal to the views, a viral moment, and the fans that control them, that they feel like they're influencing, but they're not.
No, absolutely, bro. And it's the problem is, like, a lot of young people look up to these guys. So, like, whether they like it or not, they're role models, right? Because when me and you were growing up, Michael Jordan was our fucking guy, right? Nowadays, people are growing up, they're looking at FaZe. They're heroes. So things have changed significantly.
Yeah. All right, let me get back into this a little bit.
You guys now, and you guys tell me if this looks like a conversation between two parties that have an issue with each other.
Oh, you're showing conversations.
All right, so here we are. Here's my conversation with Max, July 28th. This is when that whole thing where he heard that I said, fuck y'all, blanks. Again, this wasn't aimed toward Max.
Oh, so let me add this for the audience. So apparently, Max brought up that, he felt offended that Banks, who's a white guy, said, like, fuck y'all niggas. You know what I mean? And obviously, a white guy using that term, like, we've seen what happened with Aiden's manager and Kai Cenat when it was like a chicken Big Mac nigga, and that was the thing that Kai was like, whoa, I'm not fucking with that. I'm not fucking with Aiden. Or that was one of his reasons. I'm not fucking with Aiden if he's gonna have this guy who's a quote unquote racist. So Banks is kind of explaining why he said fuck y'all niggas, right?
But that goes back to that programming I told you. Like, they're so scared to lose the money. Like, Kai is on eggshells. I remember one time during his, like, Mafia-thon, one of his friends dropped the word that rhymes with basically the bundle of sticks. I don't want to say because I know you're on YouTube. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It starts with an F. Bro, he flipped out on him for that. Because that could really mess the bag up. So that's something else that comes into it. It's not just them being kind of, like, young and immature. It's also them, like, not being able to be authentic, and then like using BS like this, and anything could get put out of context and hurt the money. So even though he didn't mean it that way, it's gonna be put that way because he's white, right? Or they don't want to lose, advertisers, whatever.
No, I get it. Yeah. By the way, I have a prediction for Kai. I think Kai's sponsors and everybody else is gonna say, them niggas who you around, we need to get you around some white people because them niggas is fucking up. They're getting accused of this. They're doing this fucked up. Get them out of here. We need you. You need to be the LeBron of streaming. LeBron never had no degenerate friends. All his friends were like basically white. Like one of them married Adele, right? Like didn't Rich Paul marry Adele? Maverick Carter got like a podcast and is like some type of guru. All of his friends are like not niggas who's like, you know what I mean, dutty whining with girls. Like none of that. Mm-mm. So I think this next comeback 2026, Kai's sponsors are going to say, get them Negroes the fuck away from you. Hold them at a distance. We'll see if I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the move. I mean, I don't want to piss off your audience here because it looks like we got a lot of Wakanda niggas in here, crybabies, but fuck it, I'll say it. Let's keep it 1,000. Niggas don't got money, bro. Straight up. Like, if you want to do, like, live shows, you want to start really, running a subscription service, whatever. Like, bro, black people are cheap, man. Let's just keep it $1 million. Like, they don't want to, they don't want to support you like that. Everything is, I need a discount, or, nah, I ain't trying to pay. Nah, fuck that. Like, they're just stingy as fuck. They don't want to support you like that. So, if the money starts to kind of hit her and they're like, hey, we need to move you in this direction or whatever. And the good thing for Kai is that he's very marketable, right? He's not like a thug or anything like that. So they can absolutely put him in front of another audience that might have more expendable income.
Wait, hold on. But that's what I'm talking about more than I get. You're going on the demographic side. So maybe you weren't tapped into this. So his like close friends, they got in some scandal. And put it like this, I'll say
the grape one or something else.
That one. And then
yeah, I remember that one.
Something happened with another guy. I don't want to keep bringing up like these things, but like these are some things where, like, for example, usually the audience wants you to speak on it. Like he can't speak on it. By the way, I think, I'm not saying this is contrived, but it's the perfect time to be like, yo, listen, I'm focusing on myself, because he can't come out and say, yo, that's my man's. I know he wouldn't do no shit like that. Like what y'all talking about? He wouldn't do no shit like that. That if that puts you also in a different position, right?
Yeah.
Where someone could be like, yo, vouch for you, right? Like this happened to, oh man, what's that group in the UK? One of their guys got accused of some shit, and not one of the dudes who've been around him for dumb long came out and be like, yo, listen, man, I don't know about this particular situation, but I could just speak to the character and the man
dude,
I know.
The dude that got arrested in Australia for rape?
Exactly. And not one of his homies said, yo, I'm not saying shorty line or whatever, but I just want to say, because this been my man's. This my man's. And I know his character. He's never been this. He's never been this. This is not one of them. They just acted like, yo, we don't know this nigga, man. And that's when I realized, I'm like, yo, when the bag is here, man, I don't care how I know that guy. I'm not speaking up for him. So speaking up for people. And that's why I said with Kai, he might have to
100%.
You got to keep them at a distance because in streaming, the culture is you have to speak on stuff. What do you think of? Everybody's reacting to this face stuff. What do you think about it? Kai might have to be like, yo, listen, man, I'm out the loop. I'm doing some other stuff, because him speaking on it, no matter what he would say, wouldn't look good.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. The dude, I forget his name, bro. Someone's going to put it in the chat. But yeah, dude, bro got arrested in Australia. Not one of his friends spoke up for him, bro. And that just kind of goes to show how slimy social media is, right? When Andrew Tate got hit with those bullshit human trafficking charges, when people made allegations on you, like I went and said, I don't care what any of y'all say. Like, they're innocent. Fuck you guys, right? But that's because I come from a different cloth. I come from a law enforcement background, right? You don't do your people dirty. You got to protect your people. So for me, it wasn't anything strange to be like, fuck y'all, I'm sticking with Ak and Tate. But for these other influencers, bro, they don't have a frame of reference to understand the importance of loyalty, because in the social media world in itself, loyalty is not really a required asset to get big. I would argue having loyalty actually holds you back.
Yeah, you're right.
It actually detracts from your career. So
loyalty can't be a thing when you get that high. It has to be you're loyal to there is loyalty to the business. To the business and what makes sense, right? Let me play a little bit more of this. So, by the way, chat, this is the text message. Remember, he left around July. So this is a text message right after Max left, and I guess Banks is going over it saying, this guy's fake because look how we were talking and listen to what he's telling y'all now.
This wasn't said at Max. There was never any sort of like racist connotation toward this word being used ever. Saw people talking about hard R and shit. No, that's all noise. Absolutely not. What Max's initial response to it was, hey, stream speak highly of you. Shit doesn't need to be brought to light. You don't have to worry at all. Like I said, I apologize for the tweet. I said, Max, you don't got to say all that. I would never speak ill about anything publicly. Breaks my heart, crushes me, whatever. I'm showing you guys this transcript for transparency purposes. I've deleted all sensitive information. This is him randomly saying, like, you called it. This is after he left. I think he left like August 5th or something like that. Sent me this. It was like, you called it because the T app or whatever about guys. I said guys were going to make one about girls, whatever. I said we should have built it. This is the typical kind of conversation we would have. This is him responding to me asking if he wants at Plaqueboy on Instagram. Asked me if I thought it was a good change. Told him Plaqueboy Max was iconic. Again, typical conversations we would talk about. This one is the first time Max came over since he left. It was at the end of August. He sat with me. We talked for a few hours. I want to say he was at my house for 2-3 hours. And we left. I hugged him, told him I loved him, told him I'd always root for him, apologized about the what was said.
Hey, by the way, just to jump in here, and Myron, I don't know what you think about this. I have
just used the ER, bro. He should have just used the ER. Fuck it, man. Niggas are gonna call you racist anyway, bro.
Yo, I have a hard time. Like, you see, if I've been around you and been in your presence, like for example, this just happened to rap, right? So I go to a concert. There's this guy Mano there. While I'm there, like we're having a good time. Like, yo, I'm pouring him shots this and third. Yo, I see him later. He's online. He's like, yo, this guy Akademiks is corny. Now, I did make a joke about, like, you know, it wasn't even about him, but I made a joke about his co-host. But he went like super left on some like we've never had a rapport. Like he was like, yeah, this guy's, you know, like he's just a lame. He's a weirdo. And I'm like, we were in person. So for me at first, I was like, it took a while for me to even try to get personal back with him because I think there's just a shared thing of if I've been in your presence, you've been in my presence, you didn't vocalize these things, I didn't vocalize anything against you, and I didn't do anything to you, you don't just come out and be like, yo, this guy's a weirdo, or you just come out talking crazy about people. I don't think that's I think that's odd. I think that's really abnormal. I guess that's what Banks is trying to paint here. He's like, yo, listen, we were fine in person, and then now you're online, and now you're saying all these things about me, which I'm not going to lie, that shit hurts.
20-year-olds, bro. They think putting shit out on the internet is like the way to deal with it. They just look at it like, oh, it's just content. That's like a very, young boy mindset.
All right.
He said no hard feelings, admitted several times that was not the reason why he left Faze, that it was an accumulation of things. But as you'll see in this conversation, Max just thought that was the best move for his career. And that's just the simple facts. Right here again, I'm just giving him good energy. This is our dynamic. This is how it's always been. Talking about trying to get shit better mentally. This is the first time, October 10th, this is when he first kind of started to show signs of regret for leaving Faze. Been working on taking a step back, looking at everything. Again, asking me for my advice. What do you think desktop streaming? This is so random, but he's asking me, why do I think desktop streaming died? Again, he would ask me these things a lot in person, a lot on the phone, a lot over text. Throughout the course that we knew each other, he would ask me for my opinions on shit, just market, industry shit. And I love talking games.
By the way, I had the same conversations with Max. Like he would hit me and be like, yo, Ak, there was a moment, I think I was a little bit upset at him at first. And I think I was upset because when the whole thing happened, I felt like his audience wanted him to just say, yo, Ak's just this weird-ass motherfucker. And I felt like, when I came into their space and, like, atmosphere, they came out seeking me. They were like, yo, I want to meet Ak. He's a cool guy. And I felt like we had developed a rapport where he could be like, yo, listen, yo, the dude tried to make a bad joke. Yeah, it was wild, whatever. But like, he's not like what y'all are trying to portray him as. Like y'all are saying groomer. All this. He's not that. Just chill. And I felt like he didn't do that, and his audience, like he kind of did what his audience wanted to do, which was continue the energy. And we spoke later on, and he was just like, you know what, I could see it. He apologized to me, and I accepted his apology, right? And we're both from Jersey. He would hit me up and be like, "Ak, what do you think about the music business?" So one thing I give Max, like he's a guy look like he's trying to figure it out, and I'm gonna take it on face value. I don't think that's him being like conniving or whatever. I think that's him kind of like he's young, he's trying to learn some shit. But look like it's he was doing the same with Banks, right? So. Because he would say, "Yo, Ak, what do you think about music and people selling? Do you think a lot of these guys are botting? What do you think that the current state of things is?" And by the way, I will say, I do think he made the right decision to leave Faze. And maybe not on the quote-unquote loyalty aspect, because I guess some people could look at it, yo, they built you up, so you walking away when you get to maybe where you want to go, that's disloyal. But I do believe that his brand is more aligned with music and a standalone streamer than him being in a group that sometimes could indulge in corny, cringy things. I think he could have this arc that's music and he's like a one of one. So that's where I agree with it, but I also see where people are like, yo, bro, you're kind of a user, or you're disloyal because we built you, and as soon as you got to where you needed to go, you're like, peace.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good take, and it kind of touches back to what me and you were discussing before, where as a rapper, your image is very important, and being in a house with a bunch of gamers that do weird shit, that could hurt your credibility down the road. I'll give you an example of this. Like DDG, for example, when he really wanted to like start his music career, I remember he like deleted or he took down all of his YouTube channels and he just focused on music.
Yep.
Because it used to be being a YouTube rapper was like kind of a death sentence, but now that streamers are it, now he's using the streaming to accentuate his ability to be a rapper. But it used to be you couldn't do both, but now there's a lane for that. So, now he streams and he does the music on the side, whereas before it would have been a death sentence. People don't take you seriously. And this is just like a recently new thing. I mean, this is within the last 2 years that this shift has been now acceptable.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. So, again, I'm trying to analyze their conversation because I guess Banks is trying to say Max is being fake.
Yo, you talked to your boys over at Flagrant, bro, after they got incinerated?
Oh, I haven't